Hello, my name is Sequoia Hauck, and I'm here with the Jungle Theater interviewing Bayou, who made a beautiful installation for our upcoming show, Redwood. First, Bayou, thanks for being here and chatting.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about what sort of inspired you to make this piece and a little bit of who you are?
Yeah. Bayou, he, they start as pronouns. Artist, designer. The inspiration behind the ancestor piece of this comes from this idea that I had sometime last year to be able to use some kind of medium to do quick lettering on surfaces where you cannot harm or damage the walls. So it's like usually with mural work, you are painting. With installation work, you're hanging up something, you're putting holes in the wall with nails or something else. And I was like, what's something that I can get my hands on that's really affordable, that I can do this letter work with? And so using painter's tape to do lettering was something that I really wanted to try out this year. And so how the word ancestors was chosen was just because it was so relevant to the play. We were in the lobby, and I think Robin was the one that suggested the word ancestors. I was like, I feel like I was saying, like, I was thinking about doing the word Redwood really large in the same way that I did ancestors. But I was like, it just felt like it was repetitive, and it felt more like an advertising than like a welcoming, or like to something to like ground you into the space. And I believe Robin was like, oh, what about the word ancestors? And I'm like, yeah, right, like that's the vibe anyway. Usually I spell ancestors with an A, like where the O is at, so it's ancestar. And that I did that for the posters that are the prompts for the piece. But like these affirmation mirrors that are circles just work so well for the letter O. Circular mirrors work so good for the letter O. And so I was like, I can't miss that opportunity. And then that way, people like get to see themselves reflected in ancestors when they walk up to the piece. From a distance, yeah, you can see it and you see the word ancestors. But you then walk up and you see ancestors reflecting you in the ancestors. And like that is the relationship that the play really calls on.
Yeah, it's just a beautiful installation, and I can't wait to see it in person. You've talked a little bit already, but how did you feel that it was in conversation with the ideas and themes in Redwood itself?
Yeah, it's actually interesting. I was doing some virtual gatherings with the Million Artist Movement, with Paige. And for the first gathering, we really focused on roots from the power tree and the power tree quilts. And so there's like this power tree, and it's got the roots, the trunk, the branches, and it has water. Water is love, and that's what feeds, nourishes the liberation within the tree. And so part of what we did were we sat down and we did affirmations, and we were drawing different affirmations. And so I started drawing out these different symbols based on the idea of what nourishes your roots, like what do your roots need right now? And for me, it was time and rest. And then I started drawing these different symbols, and those symbols ended up being the symbols that are on the different prompts that are about roots. And it's one thing that I really enjoy about being an artist, especially one that I feel like the universe and ancestors keep guiding me back to different things where what I'm working on in one project informs the next project or two projects down. And so watching the play and even just the reality that like the play is called Redwood, which brings us back to roots, which brings us back to ancestry, like, and then having to do research on the redwood itself. And it just feels like in the play, there's this research for ancestry. There's this research and this work to be done around wrestling with the overwhelming, difficult history that is this country. And the playwright is asking you to do that work. And in that research, in that work, you continually find pieces of yourself. You continually find things that are so hard and so traumatic that like at times you want to not, the times you don't want to reflect on it, you don't want to look at it, you don't want to be present with it. And in a lot of different ways, being present with that joy, that pain, that trauma, that healing is, and it being messy and it being with people that are outside of you, is happening in the different relationships that you may have in life. That's like the work that's necessary for there to be some kind of like greater path towards liberation. And so it felt like it was just a very natural flow to move the work that I've been working on for the last couple of years, and even just with like the simultaneous projects that I'm working on, it felt like it was very natural to flow into the work that this play is asking us all to do.
For the people who will experience this installation, what do you want them to know about this work?
Themselves,
Mm.
probably more than anything else. Themselves, and like in a playful, curious way. It's a major part of my work to have people reflect and share their truths with each other so that they're not just on the inside, so that it's a communal experience, so that something that sparks something in your heart then jumps out and sparks something in me, vice versa, and always connects us back to nature. And having a moment to pause, reflect, and share some deep truths, some difficult truths, some joyous truths, some healing truths, and do that in a way that's communal so that we walk away from the experience with more than we walked into it, feeling more, having more capacity, and not more just for the sake of more, but more in the sense of like dense, healthy connections.
Yeah, I love this past, present, future with the O mirror of the ancestors. Just being able to look at yourself in that affirmation. I'm very excited about that. You brought it up a little bit about time, energy, resources. Can you speak a little bit on what it's like being a working artist today and in making this piece?
Yeah. I mean, I guess in one way, I just feel really like abundantly sustained by the universe and by the ways that my ancestors keep collaborating with other folks' ancestors to keep putting me in connection and relationship with different folks that have really good hearts. And so like shout out to the ancestors. Like when I look at that piece and I read that, like because it's okay. Like redwoods are like one of those. Redwoods are extremely
Mhm.
tall. Like everyone, yo, when people find out how much I love nature, they're like, "Yo, but you seen the redwoods yet?" And I'm like, "No, why you keep not yet?" But even in the images, when you see people at the bottom of the tree, they're like, all you see is chins and the back of heads because they're like, looking up. And so that's one thing that I'm glad I was able to bring to the piece is like it is really tall and there's that room and that space for that. But like beyond that, like being resourced as an artist, as a freelance artist is very strange because I guess sometimes you work on a project and you're like, yo, fam, they really came with the bag. Like they really, really came with the bag this time. I feel resourced, my family feels resourced, like we're sustained, it's all good. Um, and then other times you're like, wow, I did a lot of work and I got very, very underpaid for that project. Um, and there's like this balance of like, when should I do this work and when shouldn't I? And sometimes it's like, yo, I have more capacity, so I want to put more into this. Sometimes it's like, yo, I'm getting resourced to actually go do the things that I need to go do and want to go do. And at the end of the day, it's like, how is what I'm doing impacting community? And like, well, I feel like I'm deeply connected to like the abundance of community, and it feels amazing. And then there's other times where I'm just like extremely exhausted because of the different ways in which um, I work as a freelance artist and how under resourced at times my community is and how under resourced um, some of the organizations are.
Yeah. Thank you
Yeah.
for talking real about what it's like right now being an artist.
Yeah. I feel like people are gathering around artists in tremendously beautiful ways. And I feel like that's something that has always happened. So in that sense, when I think about that, it's extremely beautiful. Like we do have a really really dope art community and folks come out and support. And yeah,
Sweet. Is there anything else that you want to say about your piece or the reflection you've had making it or anything else on your heart?
yeah. I mean, I guess one thing that I would just like to say is like shout out to the all the different folks that I have a chance to collaborate with: Million Artist Movement, Public Functionary, Creators After Curfew, Studio Thalo, some of the artists that I get a chance to work with. Shout out to the ancestors. And like, it's just like, all right, so like at the end of the day, projects like this are really, really dope. Like, it's really amazing being able to like see how other artists create in playwright, in play production, in acting, etc. And simultaneously, it's like hopefully this keeps pushing us back to who we are for real. Because at the end of the day, it's like, they still out here trying to push line 3. They still out here playing around with land back. They still out here got police shooting us down in the streets. Like, as beautiful as it is to be a part of this, there's still so many things that are happening kind of like nonstop that are like, it's like, yeah, I just hope that something like this helps someone get back to their truer selves and wake up and push back against all the nonsense that's going on around us.
Hmm.
And like help each other heal and start healing with the earth and remembering like, yo, you are nature. You are nature.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You are nature. Hmm. So good. Well, thank you, Bayou, for talking and sharing about your work. And I hope everyone is able to go check out Bayou's beautiful installation in the lobby at the Jungle and check out the beautiful show of Redwood. Thanks.